I built this physique after only a few years in the gym. Knowing what I know now about hypertrophy and muscle building, I could have done this a lot sooner if I had the information I had now. So in this video, I'm going to talk to you about the ideal rep range, which is going to help you build the most amount of muscle in a short amount of time, so that you can build this physique in half the time it took me. A huge issue you see today with the fitness industry is that a lot of people are actually pushing for high volume. And I say that if you have more high volume, it leads to more mechanical tension, which is going to create more stimulus, and it's going to lead to you putting on more muscle. And this is something which is just so common throughout the fitness industry right now. A lot of these fitness influencers are pushing this. They're pushing high volume, high amount of rep ranges and everything like that. And a lot of them are actually not telling you, but a lot of them are actually taking steroids, which is really helping them enhance their performance, which is really going to help aid their ability to do high volume. It's actually the only reason why they can actually train like that and actually recover in time is because they're enhanced. And in addition to that, it's just if you're a natural bodybuilder, doing all this high volume, all this high rep range is actually not that beneficial, and you're not going to get a high return on investment for that effort that you put in. So it's kind of frustrating to actually see this being advertised in the industry because this isn't how you put on muscle fast and effectively, and especially if you're not on steroids, it's actually really not going to be beneficial at all. So although that these people do this and they can actually put on muscle with these high rep ranges, it's actually so much more effective and efficient to just drop the rep ranges back and to use a lower, more effective rep range. So the first thing I want to get into is something called effective reps. And the effective reps are the last 5 reps of each set that you're doing. So if you were to think about when you wanted to do these effective reps, if it was better to get these 5 effective reps in at the end of a long set where you're doing 15 reps and you've done 10 reps just to build up to it, and then you're doing the 5 effective reps at the end? Or do you think that it's a lot better to just have a low rep range where you've got 6 reps, for example, and it just takes 1 rep to get into that effective rep range where you're actually causing that stimulus and actually building that muscle tissue? So if you thought that it was the first one where it's better to build up and do 10 reps before you get into the range of effective reps, then this is actually wrong. And the reason for this is because you're getting the most bang for your buck in the last 5 reps of each set. So this is where you really create that muscle stimulus and tension, which leads to hypertrophy. So if you're expending a lot of your energy and creating fatigue on the first 10 reps of the exercise, then what happens is by the time you get to this effective rep range, you're going to have to be able to be doing it on a lower weight. Because if you want to do 15 reps, for example, you're going to have to drop the weight. So for the first 10 reps, when you're building up to the effective rep range, which is what actually counts, you're going to actually create fatigue and it's going to exert yourself a little bit more. And in addition to that, you're going to have to use a lower weight. So when you actually get into those effective rep ranges, your weight's just going to be lower and it's just going to lead to overall a lot less mechanical tension on the muscle. So if you actually reverse this and you just have 6 reps or 7 reps in a set, what's going to happen is you can actually increase the amount of weight because you're only doing 6 or 7 reps. So therefore, with this increased amount of weight, after you get through the first 1 to 2 reps and you get into those 5 effective reps at the end of the set, now you actually have a lot higher weight for these effective reps, which means that you're going to be able to create a lot more mechanical tension for the muscle. This is what's really going to create that stimulus and create that tear in the muscle, which is going to lead to a lot more hypertrophy. So for this reason, it's actually a lot better to just kind of lower the rep ranges back a little bit. You shouldn't really be doing 12 to 15 reps because, like I said, the most effective part of the rep range, you're just spending all that time and effort building up into it. And when you get there, you're going to have to do it on a lower weight, which is going to be so much less effective for muscle building. So lower that weight. If you keep the weight, increase the weight, but lower the rep range. This is going to lead to a lot of that more tension on the muscle, which is going to lead to muscle growth. So the way that I train, which is being proven to be the most effective way to train, is something called reverse pyramid training. So if I was to ask you, if you had a really big work task to do throughout the day, and I asked you when you think it would be the best time to do this task, whether in the morning or midday or in the afternoon, when do you think would be the best time to get this task done? The best time would obviously be to get this task done in the morning as soon as you've just woken up. Because this is when your brain is fresh, it's when you haven't actually used brain points throughout the day, you're going to be less tired, less lethargic, and you're going to have the most energy. So that's why if you had a really hard task to do the next day, you would write it down as the first thing to do in the morning. And you would just wake up and you would get this difficult task done so that the rest of the day is a little bit easier. So this is the exact same with hypertrophy and muscle growth. If you have that really hard set where you increase the weight and you go for high intensity on a high weight but for low rep ranges, then this is going to be most beneficial to do that hard, tough set with low rep ranges with a heavy weight at the start of your exercise. So for the first set, it should be the most heaviest set that you can do with the lowest amount of reps. And then as you keep going throughout the exercise onto the second set, then I'd recommend just dropping the weight back a little bit and then aiming for maybe 2 to 3 more reps and then doing the same thing for the third set. So this is called reverse pyramid training. This is where you start low with the rep range and heavy, and then as you go throughout the exercise, you just drop the weight and increase the rep range and then do it again. So for the first set, I normally do about 6 to 8 reps, and then after that I'll do 8 to 10, and then for the final third set I'll do 10 to 12. So this has been proven to be the most effective way to build muscle, because when your body's the most fresh and when you've got the most amount of strength and energy, you're using that to use a heavy weight, which is going to therefore lead to an increase in that mechanical tension to lead to hypertrophy. Another reason why low rep ranges is beneficial is because it's actually been proven the lower you go, the better this is for strength. So if you're someone who's spending all your time just doing high rep ranges and everything, thinking that it's going to help build muscle, actually your ability to build muscle is directly correlated with your strength and your ability to build up strength. So if you actually taper this back and you go for a low rep range, but you increase the weight, this is what's really going to help build up your strength in your body. It's going to actually use more motor units and it's going to recruit more muscle fibers if you go heavy but for a low rep range. And this is going to really increase your strength. So if you find that you're hitting a plateau at some point along your fitness journey, it might be a good idea to just actually taper back the rep range and just go heavy, increase your strength. And then after a few weeks, you might find that if you go back to the same weight you were on before, you can actually do a lot more reps and you're actually a lot stronger. So this is another reason why I think low rep ranges is the most beneficial, because it's just going to really help you increase your level of strength in the gym, which is going to lead to you being able to push more weight around, which is going to force your muscles to grow. So the last point which I want to talk about is that you can actually build muscle on any rep range. However, like I said before, even though you can build muscle in any rep range, if you're going up to 15 to 20 reps, a lot of the time you're just kind of wasting your time for the first 10 to 15 reps of that exercise, because you're not actually getting into the most effective stimulating part of that set, which is the last final reps. So therefore, even though it has been proven you can still build muscle doing this way, because you're still going to be getting into those effective reps at the end of the set, it's a lot better to actually taper this back and just cut back on the amount of reps you're doing and increase the weight, which is therefore just going to lead to you creating that stimulus a lot sooner in the set, where the weight's heavier, which is going to therefore cause a lot more stimulus and lead to more mechanical tension when you're within these effective rep ranges. So generally, I think that the sweet spot for building muscle is between 6 to 10 reps. So if you keep it low and you actually increase the weight, put your body under more stress, this is what's really been proven to create that tear and lead to hypertrophy.